Back, everybody, to Wizardly Ramblings. I know it's been a couple months, but hey, sometimes you got to wait for greatness. And I was willing to wait for my guest, Christopher Navo. I've been a big fan of yours since you debuted, Chris. Please tell everybody about yourself. And before that gets going, if you haven't subscribed to Chris, I do have his channel linked in the description box down below. Chris, take it away, my friend.
All right. Well, Andrew, I mean, yes, I'm honored to be here. I was a fan of watching your channel since before I even started to consider having a channel. So I thought, this is something that I've always been passionate about, books. And I remember just, sitting down, of course, I think a lot like most people sitting down during the COVID years, watching BookTube to pass the time. I worked in a one-man office, and so yeah, you had nobody to talk to coworker wise. So it was YouTube videos like that whole time, and of course, got to throw out the Wheel of Fortune constants and the one vowel, and Daniel Green and Murphy Napier and all those, and then eventually my library expanded, and I thought, this is something that I could do. I was of course a big fan of reading fantasy and even sci-fi back when I was in my early teens and 20s, like most of us, and I just have a passion for storytelling and working on my own version of that myself. And I thought, this might be something kind of fun to do. And I wasn't really expecting to do it, of course, on a full-time basis. There's just not enough time. So, but and then last year, I think in April is when I built the channel, and getting to know the community, of course, through Discord, and realizing how large this community really is I think the biggest shocker to me.
Oh yeah, it's a huge community, like shockingly so. I'm still like flabbergasted when I meet new people entering into the space, and it's just like there's so many people to get to know. It's a little staggering.
Oh yeah, I'll get people like reaching out. Oh hey, I just noticed your channel, and I'd be the same way. I just noticed your channel, but then I also noticed they've been on for like years, and I'm like, oh, why am I just discovering you now? Kind of thing.
That is the wildest thing to me, is just when like somebody pops into my algorithm, and like you feel like they should have been there since the beginning, and you're just like, what? Yeah. Why haven't you shown me these people before?
Yeah, absolutely. It's mind-boggling. Part of me likes a bit of a close-knit community, but then at the same time, I'm happy to see such an expanse in the community as well too. Oh. But it does overwhelm you too, because you feel, I mean, for myself anyway, I feel obligated to like, try to make sure I give each person some time, let them know I am checking out your videos and I am watching, I'm, commenting. But then when you have, several hundred subs, it's like, whose turn is it today, kind of thing.
Yeah, trust me, I've been sitting at about 200 now for, I don't know, 3 years. And it's hard, like, especially if like, because I try and prioritize my own community. Because like I still to this day try and respond to every comment, unless it's mean. Then I'll just like throw like a little heart thing on there to make it go away. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But BookTube is a fantastic community.
Yes, absolutely.
Speaking of which, when do you think your book's gonna be ready?
When do I think my book's gonna? Yeah. So I ideally I've been taking a break from book 1, and I've been working on book 3 actually, because I want to have a good jump, because I don't want it to be like years before, like, say I get book 1 out and then it'll be years before I get book 2 out. So I want to have like a good time, a good head start on it. But I am aiming to have a publication date by the end of this year. So that would be looking into 2025, hopefully in the earlier part of that year is my goal.
Now, do you interact with a lot of AuthorTube as well to kind of like bounce ideas off of? I know Tori, who we've got in the chat, is fantastic. She was ribbing us for being a little bit late. We were chatting backstage a little bit, and I'm so sorry, Tori. But there's Andrew D. Meredith. There's just so many great people to reach out to who are available on BookTube with just so much knowledge.
Yeah, I've been trying to converse more with authors, especially. I do think I'm going to go the indie publish route on my book, and so just getting connections, building connections within the author space too, has been something I'm been working to have in my back pocket, in case. Because you want to build a friendship before you start bombarding them with like, okay, so I'm at this part, and what do I do with, how do I get,
Honestly, I think most authors would be down to geek out immediately.
Because like the business end scares the shit out of me, because I just don't know if I'm going to, how I'm going to handle that in the and anything along those lines. But I just want to get the thing written first, of course. So we'll get there when we get there, I guess. But yeah, ideally I want to have it ready for publication by 2025.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. With that out of the way, we're gonna pay attention to a little bit of the comments. Just say hi to some people. So we've already acknowledged Tori the Beanie Queen. She's been acknowledged. We've got Sarah Beth. Hello. Got Darko in the house. Love Kindle and Kicks. That is a great up and coming channel.
That's one of those ones where I'm talking where I just said, like, I didn't know he was around. I guess he's been around for a little bit. I know he's still probably relatively new, but I just discovered Kindles and Kicks like maybe about a month or so ago. I felt so bad. I was just like, why am I
been around for like 4 or 5 months? So
yeah, it's just like, why am I just discovering these people?
We got Pepe. We got Escaped Books. Oh, speaking of up and comers, new to the 2K Club, we've got Brian from BellTube. Yes. Hello, to Magical Wizards.
Just watched his chat with Jimmy yesterday.
I tuned in for a little bit of that, but like a lot of these chats take place when I'm putting my kids to bed, and so like I can't have my phone out because otherwise they think it's screen time, and then like try and grab for the phone, and so I've got to put it down, and then like. By that point, like I've just transitioned out of like a BookTube mindset. And so I rarely get to come back to those things.
Yeah. The good news with live streams is you can at least, you don't necessarily have to have eye contact with the screen. Of course, you kind of want to see them interacting with each other, but you can have it playing and at least in the background sometimes. So you don't have to always be like 100% concentrated on it. But yeah, it's cool. I love live streams so much.
Yeah, they can be a lot of fun. Do you still get like a little bit of anxiety when you do them?
Oh God, yeah. I had to go to the bathroom at least twice before he jumped on today. I don't know why. I know you. It's not like I'm intimidated by you anymore. It's just I don't know. When I get on the camera, it's just like, all right, I got to go to the bathroom again, even though I don't have to, but I feel like I have to, kind of thing. But
it was funny. My most speaking of being intimidated by somebody, which I can't believe anybody's intimidated by me. I remember the first time I talked to Mike for the first time, and like Mike pops into the live stream. We're not even live, and I'm just like, and he's like, "You okay, man?" And it's just like I can't believe to Mike from my book review, and he's just like, "Me?" Like I guess that feeling just never goes away. And that's hilarious.
There's a difference between when you see people like on camera constantly and that's all you know them, and then when you start having conversations with people, these people that you've kind of like watched from a viewer standpoint your whole for years, and then you start chatting with them. I think it's interesting, and same with authors too. I think that's it just changes perspective a lot, I think.
It's definitely a new kind of just sort of interaction that I wasn't prepared for, because I was like, oh, I'm just going to be talking to people. And then like you realize I've been watching you like for years, and you have no idea who I am, but I know like all of your content, and just to get to talk to people like that, it's very, very interesting. It was like the most instantaneous imposter syndrome I've ever had. Especially I also got it when I got to talk to Patrick one time.
Oh wow.
Where, yeah, like I was started talking to Patrick, and Patrick and I are bros online. Like we message probably once, twice, maybe 3 times a month.
Oh, okay.
And all of a sudden, like I'm sitting there talking to Patrick, and it's early morning, so I was already like, tired, and I wasn't braced for it. And then it's just like I'm talking to Patrick Leo. Like it's just it's weird. But that's kind of why I love the community.
It is. It's like we talked about earlier, where it's like it's larger than we think, but there is still like this small community aspect to it where you start kind of getting to know names, even if you've never like met them or really actually chatted with them. It's like, yeah, I recognize that name, or something along those lines, and you just kind of build that community around there. For sure.
Tori brings up Murphy. It's so fun. Murphy, if you haven't ever talked to Murphy, Murphy is so down to earth. Tori and I are with Murphy, and she's the snarkiest individual I've ever had the privilege of knowing.
I had her on my last One Piece season show. Yeah, absolutely. She's very, very down to earth, very quiet. Yeah.
And like the most humble person. Like you can't, like I'll mention something and then she'll crack a joke. She's like, "Oh, don't forget about me when you're all big." And I'm like, says the person whose channel is like 200 times bigger than mine. Like, yeah, she's silly.
Yeah, she was really cool too. She was like, "Oh, let me know when you're gonna." And when we were wrapping things up, she was like, "Let me know when you're gonna read Daniel Amirhan's Long Price Quartet again, because I want to read that." And she goes, I don't want to intrude or anything. And I'm like, no, if you want, hell yeah, you can join.
You want to read LPQ, Murphy? Let's read LPQ.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Good series. But what are you currently reading?
I am currently reading. I've just started as of tonight. I'm starting Ryan Cahill. So I'm reading his both The Fall and of Blood and Fire. Reading these both this month. This is my one buddy read of the month. That's with John from Talking Story and Philip,
Brian and Mike,
and Philip, and then and Angela from Do Unicorns Read. That's our journey into that. So starting that now. I've read a couple of indie books. I just finished Molten Flux, which is by Jonathan Weiss. He's got, if you go onto his page on Amazon, he's got this like huge chart of, he's got like a trilogy planned out, like a quartet planned out. He's got this like huge map planned out for his books. And this first book, I was really impressed. I mean, he's a youngin', and he wrote a really decent book here. If you like that Mad Max kind of vibe feel, it's a very desert world kind of thing, very hard life kind of thing. And yeah, I was pretty, he wrote character really well. World building is fantastic for a first book. I was impressed.
Molten Flux. No, I don't want actual flux. Sorry.
Molten Flux.
It gave me the option to like include his name, and I was like, no, I know what I'm looking for. I don't need the author's name. And then it gave me Computer Flux. And I was like, well, that's not exactly what I was looking for. This is book. Oh, Blazing Flux. You brought up
yeah, Blazing Flux. Censors. Blazing Flux. There goes my.
We'll get it out. Out.
That's book 2, I believe. That's book 2. Yeah.
Added it to my wish list, so I won't forget about it.
I hope you like it. It's not very long. It's not very long. So
my TBR is very long, but
Andrew, I don't even know where to start.
I started this year with Tori and Nico and Kay, and we're like, let's do the Read Your Shelf challenge. And then like I found this dumb loophole that I started exploring. I was like, I can read any book that's not on my shelf as long as I buy it before I have to do a recount of my shelf. And then that way it counts as I read a book that was on my shelf. I need to stop doing that. Yeah, Tori, I've still got like 320 unread books on my shelf. Like I counted like
Oh
2 weeks
yeah.
ago.
Yeah, I'm actually going to start that. You know, since I don't have my own Discord, I'm going to when I put out a video, I'm going to ask my subs to pick a book from my shelf for me to read for that month. So,
you know what? Why don't you pick a book from my shelf for me to read? Since you're one of my patrons and I need to reinstate that, go ahead.
But I wasn't lucky the first time. You remember you picked my name and you said
you know what? Most people aren't lucky because I DNF so much. But hey, now's your next shot. Just peruse a little bit while we're talking, and then if you see something you like, shout it out, and I'll read it.
I don't know. I'm kind of looking right at. Is that Zach Argyle? Did you read that?
I have read it. I wouldn't have invested in it if I hadn't. But yep, I've got that. I don't know.
All right.
I can also.
I'll give it away. I'll give it away. Part of my problem also is I'm part of the Broken Binding subscription for fantasy.
Yeah.
And I just got Philip. I just opened these prior to our discussion, but I got Philip Contrail's Ton of Dragons.
I have that on the way.
Look at this thing. It's gigantic. I mean, this is Brandon Sanderson size.
I bought the second edition printing, which hasn't been printed yet. So.
And then I got this, which I'm really excited for.
I want that.
I mean, yeah. So that kind of like changes a lot of my TBR because I also have I want to start Terry Pratchett this month. That'll be my first Terry Pratchett book. So I want to read that, and
which one?
I'm gonna read them in publication order.
Oh, you're pulling a mic.
I am pulling a mic. In fact, that's kind of where I stole the idea from because Mike said he was going to start with Color Magic, and I was going to start off with what is it, Guards, because that's what everybody says to start with. But I'm going to try Color Magic. I heard it's mediocre, maybe one of his weaker books, but then they get better, right?
Well,
and I have something to look forward to.
Here's my hot take on Discworld. You don't need to read all of it. I pick and choose what I want to read in Discworld. Like I love about 70% of the Guards books. I really love, and then I like the last 30%. The Witches books are 50-50 for me. I really like 50% of it, and I really didn't like the other half. I give the Death Collection like a 60%. Like there were some great moments within the Death Collection, but overall, like I think I get hung up on you call it the Death Collection. There's not really enough of the Death character in there to justify calling it the Death Collection because he's not the main focus. But I am starting the Industrial Revolution sub-series this year. So, or not this year, this month.
And what you just said, it sounds very consistent with what I've been hearing. I've been hearing like Witches can be hit and miss. The Guard series is probably one of the best. Death series is kind of, goes up and down. Yeah, so it's pretty consistent with what I've been hearing. We'll see. Ryan
says, good luck with Color of Magic.
I get that a lot. So I won't stop. If I didn't like Color of Magic, it's not going to be like Terry Pratchett's not for me. I'll try something else. Definitely.
Yeah. I don't know. I for the longest time I was reading a Terry Pratchett once a month, once every other month, sometimes twice a month. Like I was just like, oh, this stuff is amazing. But I started with the Guards books, and then I kind of got exposed to the other books, and I was just like, oh, I don't understand these cultural references, or I don't have the point of reference for these jokes, and they started kind of falling a little flat. Like they're good books that are well written, but if you don't understand what's being riffed on, sometimes the joke just falls flat. And it's just like, I wish I knew why this was funny. But I don't find it funny.
Do you know what book made me laugh a lot last year? And I'm too lazy to reach, but it's The Crew by Sadir S. Samir.
Oh, I'm also too lazy to reach. It's out of arm's reach. I think it's top shelf. Yep, I can see it. It's top shelf right up there.
Yeah, but I got it on my second shelf over, but yeah.
It was definitely a funny book.
I had a good time with that book. I'd be curious to see what he's going to do with book 2. I liked it a lot. It was just kind of what I needed. I think I was reading a lot of bleak books when I read The Crew, and I was like, man, this is exactly what I needed. So I think it hit really well with me.
I've been dodging a lot of bleak books lately. Just kind of like it. I'm not vibing with it right now. So like Blood Over Brighthaven by Emma Wong, fantastically written. It's really, really well written. Like, I'm not criticizing the book or the writing. The tone and the subject matter of the prologue was very dark, and it was very it almost gave me whiplash, because it starts really warm and fuzzy and then gets dark instantly. And I was just like, ooh, we're gonna pump the brakes right here in the prologue, and we're gonna revisit this when I'm in a better mood for that. But I mean, hey, Emma Wong can write. Right now, I can't put down Andrew Rowe. I can't put it down. I literally read Andrew Rowe, Arcane Ascension.
Okay.
Let's see if I can get my finger to point at the first book. Here's the first book. That's the Wraithmarked version.
Oh, nice. Okay.
But it's basically a progression fantasy / lit RPG. I don't know, Brian. You tell me. You're the lit RPG guy. But
I gotta try lit RPG, man. Maybe if I wrap up some of these series or something else I have going on, the talk about it. I mean, I obviously my go-to for my first one will probably be Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Oh yeah, but like that's like starting out with like the best, and then everything else is just kind of like
going to be crap.
Trying to find something that gives you that same feeling. Okay. Man, I love Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's funny. One of my patrons was just like, "You need to do a Dungeon Crawler Carl video before it blows up." And then it blew up, and I was just like, Like at this point, it looks like I'm jumping on the bandwagon, despite the fact I read it before the bandwagon took off.
I see it now. I'm that guy too. It's like I could do it, but like everyone else is doing it right now. So
oh, here we go. Brian's got you covered. What lit RPG to do after Dungeon Crawler Carl?
Yeah, Brian, I already watch your videos. You don't need to give me an excuse to watch your videos.
I don't know. It's funny because I constantly, like, I'm reading a book right now called Hedge Wizard. And it says it's progression and lit RPG. So far, I haven't noticed any lit RPG elements in it. Okay. I just noticed the progression. So maybe that'll come in later. But it's a good book. It's nothing mind-blowing. But I don't know. I would recommend Wandering In. But if you're wanting to wrap up series, Wandering In's probably not the one you should try. Because it's like One Piece. There's no end in sight.
I have people wondering because when I did those One Piece TV discussion shows, you know, I picked up subs for people who like One Piece. And they keep asking me, when are you going to start your One Piece journey? When are you going to start your One Piece journey? And because I said, okay, now this makes me want to read it. But it's just like, man, that is a can of worms right there.
Well, the good thing with Wandering In is I can always just recommend book one, which, don't get me wrong, book one is very long, but it's still manageable. Especially, I think Andrea Parsnow, if you do like the audio, she's very digestible at 1.5 times speed, which really knocks down the, like, I think it's like 45 hours or something. I think Brian, if they're talking Wandering In, is saying 47 hours. I don't know. But at 1.5 speed, it's more like 36, 37, which is Sanderson length. And then if you try book one and you don't like it, great. You're not going to like the rest of the series.
Okay.
If you do like it,
then you're in. Yeah.
Then continue on. I'm on book 6. So.
To Mac's question in here in the comments, I want to miss it. The Lions of Alarasan is my next GGK book.
I just got that in the mail yesterday. It's right here.
Nice. Yeah.
And then I've got Song for Our Bone right here.
Song for Our Bone was our first GGK book. That was myself, Ben, and John, Talking Story, and Zara from Books with Zara. We all read that, and that was, yeah, I was blown away by A Song for Our Bones. So, and I heard good things about Lions. So that's going to be our next one.
I've got Under Heaven on the way as well. Mainly because it's Asian inspired fantasy, and I just love Asian inspired fantasy.
Me too.
So
Me too.
When it hits, it hits. Like I can just read it all day.
Yeah.
And the fact that we don't have a whole collection of Asian fantasy makes me sad.
I'm the same way too. It's like, and ironically, I've not read The Sword of Kaigen yet, but I have that beautiful Wraithmark edition. Is it easy read for you?
Edition 1?
I should have had all my books off the shelf, so then like I can just grab it and show. Yeah. That's what I have too. I need to read it yet, and for how much I love it.
I read it in 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a few years.
Nice. Rob J. Hayes's Moral Technique series is kind of like, I love that so much. Yeah, I got that too. I just got my copy. Again, out of reach. It's there.
I can't wait until they do Pawn's Gambit, because personally, Pawn's Gambit's my favorite. I know that, like, if you don't really like the chess or the interplay between the mortals and the gods.
I like that. I like the strategy of that, and I love the characters in that one. It's a less action-y than I think Never Die, but I let it. Yeah, and to Tori's point, I still have to read Spirits of Vengeance, but
I liked Spirits of Vengeance. Why is my brain going blank? Spirits of Vengeance. There we go. I liked it. It wasn't Pawn's Gambit for me. I thought it was funnier than Pawn's Gambit for sure. Like, the characters are more fleshed out and more dynamic within Spirits of Vengeance. But man, like, I don't know, there was just something so cool about Pawn's Gambit that I just absolutely loved. And what's funny is I DNF'd Pawn's Gambit like 2 years ago. And then I came back at like the end of last year, and I was like, you know what? Like, I love Rob J. Hayes. I should just come back to the series. And I did, and then I just binged it. Just
nice. Yeah. I loved Pawn's Gambit. Never Die was, of course, I think not only my intro to him, but I think in general, indie authors work. Okay. And I think, and I was like, ever since then, I was like, oh, okay, now, yeah, I'm digging this. I've had a few, like, I got picked up I'm like, when I go to cons, I'll pick up like a indie author who'll like have their books there on display, and some of them are very good. They're like authors I never see like in the community though. I don't know where these people are at, I never know where they're, they just sort of pop up in the cons, but you never see them anywhere. Like
last year, Gen Con had ML Wong.
What's that?
Last year, Gen Con had ML Wong.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh. Mike Shell, who is a local author to me, and he wrote Aching God, one of the first ones that I promoted on the channel. Maybe not the first, but I definitely, this is when I was an early adopter of Aching God.
Okay.
And me and him connected, and then like he kind of just occasionally messages me, and he posted this picture on Twitter with him and ML Wong at Gen Con, and I was just like, I knew I should have grabbed a ticket this year. Like,
oh, are you not going? Are you not going to go?
Today, this year, I'm going to try and get a late pass, like just get a day pass, and that just so I can visit Authors Row.
Yeah.
I mean, I game still, but like I don't board game as much as I used to. Mm-hmm. I still do D&D every other week online with a group. We're literally spread out from, let's see, our DM's in Vegas, and then there's 2 players in Indiana, one's in Jersey, and the other one's in Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have 2 games going on, and we intermingle them every other Sunday. And our one game is online, and it's some friends from Florida. So it's like very you know, the schedules, of course, are all whacked out.
Oh
But
gosh.
at least the other one I play is here local, and that one's fun because it's in person. So I get to use manual dice, which I prefer over the computer because I think the computer cheats and
Oh god.
on my dice roll.
There's no way I roll consistently that bad that often off of a digital dice.
I roll so bad with the digital dice, and I know when it's going to be bad because if the last three rolls on it were like good, you know the next one's going to be like a 1.
Yeah, it's awful. I don't know. I recently heard of a dice that it's got your overall aggregate score is lower, but it gives you multiple chances to hit a 20. But like it has like two or three nat ones on it, and then like 2 nat 20s on it or something like that. It's a weird kind of die where like you can play the die, but there's a chance that you're gonna roll lower, and that's basically because it removes like the 16 and 17 and the 18, and then replaces the 19 with a 20 or something like that.
Okay.
Something like that.
Right.
I'd have to look more into it, but I thought that was an interesting concept. It's like it's a more risky way to play, and you've got a higher chance of like rolling lower, but you have a higher chance of hitting a nat 20.
What are you playing right now? And that's Brian's question in the chat. What's your character?
Oh gosh. Now you've actually I've got my character sheet right here. Tavar Garewood, I believe, is a half elf ranger. Yeah, I just pulled up D&D Beyond. Half elf ranger, level 9.
Very nice. Yeah.
So
yeah, mine's a my D&D character is set in Planescape. So he is a Doomguard druid, which
nice.
is fun to play because he's like a druid, but he's not really into nature. He's more into like the astral and all that. And I play him where, you know, just because he's a Doomguard, they're all about, you know, destructive. He's good. He's chaotic good, or probably chaotic neutral if you give him a alignment. But it's fun playing a druid that's not really into like the nature aspect of the class. And then my new game is I'm playing with one of the new classes from Pathfinder, and that's a Thaumaturge.
Nice.
Which
I haven't played Pathfinder in years.
It's a martial class, but it adds a lot of skill that you can utilize to hit. It's a lot of fun. It's brand new, so and like I said, we only played 1 or 2 sessions, so it was mostly world building. But it's fun. I love the game. I love playing the game. I always say I want to get like a bunch of booktubers together.
That could be fun.
Do a D&D, but I don't know who would be the dungeon master because I'm not. I don't know if I'd be very good at
it. we could try and rub Alan into it. You know, if he's got time away from his overlord.
Oh, is he? Yeah, is he playing too?
Yeah. He used to DM.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Right,
so Alan used to be a DM. The only thing I could think that might be a problem with Alan is we're so chaotic. I think he isn't going to be much for homebrewing, and he'd be a stickler for the rules.
Stick to the path. Yeah,
that could be could be interesting to see him get angry at us.
Our DMs are pretty good about knowing who we are as players, and you know, of course, we want to try to make things as easy as we possibly can for the DM. So, you know, we can always tell when the DM is coaxing us to go in a certain direction or anything like that, you know. But it's still a lot of fun.
Oh, well, looks like we've got Tori. Tori wants to learn how to play D&D. We've got a party coming together as we speak. How do you balance between D&D, booktube, day job, marriage? You can't say sacrifice sleep. That's not on the table. Writing. Just how do you balance between all of that?
So look how many videos I put out. I put out maybe a video a week if I'm really lucky. So there's sacrifice there. I never really intended when I built the channel to be one to get out I knew right away. I knew I wasn't going to get out 2 videos a week. Maybe in the beginning I did, but just to get that warm up going. But I just knew it wasn't going to happen. There's things I've been lucky with where I've had a job where I have to wait a lot for tests to run and all that. So that's like I use that opportunity. I'm not the fastest reader either. You know, it is about a book, maybe a book a week for me.
Good pace.
You know, yeah, I'm happy with it. If I can get 4 or 5 books in a month done, I'm very happy with myself. But I don't read, I think, as fast as a lot of booktubers do.
I don't think that's healthy.
You don't?
I don't think
people, yeah, but some people that's natural to them though.
Well, it used to be natural. It used to feel natural. For me personally, I read an obscene amount and I listen to, I mean, literally I fill my day with story nonstop. And it's gotten to the point now where like I hit walls and where it's just like today I ran into a situation at work where I even got a little bit mad and I got stymied that I couldn't get back into a reading mood, which then pushed me further out of a reading mood. It's weird. There's got to be a good life balance.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the biggest memes to come out of the booktube community, what was his name? He was a friend of Daniel Green's for a little bit, Luke something. He did this video where he's just like kind of riffing on booktube, where we're kind of holding up 30 stacks of books. And it's like, this is what I read today. And it's just like, well, obviously we don't read that fast, but
right. Yeah.
I mean, within 4 or 5 years, I had a shelf like 4 years ago. I now have close to 800 books in my house and I haven't read about half of them.
Yeah.
And
no,
I mean,
I'm like desperately falling behind. And I think I'm not concerned about the books that I purchased for myself. I am a little more concerned. I'm one of those people that I didn't realize how many people would reach out to me.
Yeah.
to and I want to, because that's what I am probably going to eventually have to do for myself. So I understand that need to like, hey, will you get to it? And a lot of the authors are great. They're like, whenever you get to it, doesn't have to be release date or doesn't have to be, just when you can get to it. So that's great if they're like that, because I am right off the bat saying I'm a very slow reader. I got books in a queue.
I stopped accepting review copies at this point.
No, I get it. And I think, I can get why. And I think because of the speed I read at, I think people don't reach out to me as much as probably like people like who can read, a book in like 2 or 3 days, like Esme or, somebody like that. But I try not to add that stress to myself, because I set the expectation ahead of time. I say I'll get to, it won't be guaranteed read by your release date, kind of thing. But
yeah, the kind of what I've transitioned to is within the next couple of weeks I'm opening up a PO box. So like if people want to send me their book to promote on the channel, that's fine. I'll do like a mic style where I'll insert into the book haul, hey, check out these books. These book exists.
I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that as soon as I get it. I'll put a video and I'll sound off the blurb and give it its time to shine so people see it. That'll do right away, like you said. But otherwise, when I actually read it is going to be another story.
Oh, hello, sir.
We got a visitor.
Yeah. 1 second.
What do we have in the comments?
All right. Sorry about that.
No.
He's cute.
But yeah, I don't have kids, so that probably takes a lot of free time. That gives me a lot of free time. And it's a juggling act, between just giving myself the time to write, the time to read, the time to play a video game. it's
I've been trying to carve out time for Elden Ring. We were talking about that like a month and a half ago. I'm still just kind of chipping away at Elden Ring. Like,
it's funny how I keep
Arena of
going
the
back to that game, and it's just I remember games that were like released around the same time. What game was a lot of fun? It was released like a week before Elden Ring. Horizon Forbidden West.
Oh yeah.
I love the game. It was so cool. It's such a neat concept, and I loved the first one. And it came out unfortunately a week before Elden Ring, and I never got back to it because every time I'm picking it up, a new game comes out. Games are like books. I mean, they're just like, I just can't keep up.
Sorry, I saw somebody say they were waiting for the Bloodstones audio, and it's out.
It is, yeah.
It's available on Scribd and Everand if you have that. If not, it's available everywhere where audiobooks are sold. There's a plug for the Bloodstones. As soon as I can find it, I would hold it up. But
there first.
There we go. Bloodstones. Available in all formats. Oh, you got to it first.
And we got it. And yeah, that's another thing. I'm trying to promote the ones that didn't make it into Spitfo this year.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm sad that Bloodstones did not get drawn for the competition.
Yeah. What did you think of the lottery system for Spitfo?
I don't know. It's tough. I don't know. I'm not in it, but I think it's maybe things need to change, but I think lottery might be better than first come, first serve. Mm-hmm. Like who gets their submission in first, because I mean, I'm West Coast, so I would probably have to wake up at like 3 a.m. to get to the computer to enter my thing in. But I think the lottery might be a little better than first come, first serve kind of thing. But man, I don't know. Somebody needs to start up another blog off or something for all these submissions.
Yeah, I don't know, because I was a judge last year. Well, I was a sub judge. I wasn't a full judge, but I don't want to misrepresent myself. I was a sub judge last year, and it was a wild experience from the inside of SPFBO. It was fun, but like, man, it's interesting to see how, because I've done SPSFC and I've done SPFBO as a judge. I much preferred SPFBO.
Okay.
But yeah, it's interesting reading from the judging perspective, because Tori says stay tuned on that. I don't want to say anything out of turn, but stay tuned on that.
I couldn't imagine being a judge. I think I could be critical if I need to on a book, but just to like compare a read with another read that's completely different and deciding on which one like maybe hit harder for me or something like that to move up in the competition. I can't imagine how easy that is for everybody. But
so my judgmental butt, it's very easy. Because
you're really good. You just have that intuition. You just know, I think.
Yeah, basically, I'm like, this isn't going to be for me. Not moving on. And I don't know.
Andrew, I will still like you if you do that book to me.
Do that to your book?
Yeah, it's like, and it's funny. I'm not changing anything I'm writing, but I do now come with a different mindset. It's like, what are booktubers going to say about this one? Because it's like, it's lengthy, so I know there's people who don't read long books.
Yeah.
It can be dark. There's some heavy themes that I use because it affected me in my personal life, so I do play along with that. But I know some of those themes could be triggered for other people, so I know that could be a thing. And it's just like, it plays a little bit with my head, but I'm not going to change anything I'm writing.
She likes to joke.
Yeah.
I think it's a joke. Yeah, she says she's gonna put it on Bloodstones. I was an ARC reader for Bloodstones, but I think being cognizant of those themes and how it might affect somebody is very, very important, because there have been books out there that address very hard hitting themes, but they're not done in the most delicate of manners.
Right.
And that can cause a trigger or a trauma reaction in some people. And being aware of that, like, I've started noticing people putting like disclaimers, like content disclaimers at the
I've
front
noticed
of the book,
that too.
which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because if at least the reader has an opportunity in the front of the book to say, hey, this is in the book, this isn't going to be for me, maybe something else.
Yeah.
And just kind of avoid a bad situation altogether. But there's also ways to do like essay and, you know, murder and all sorts of stuff like that
Right.
in a book and still put a I don't want to say respectful, because none of those themes are respectful, but there's a good way to execute those,
Right.
if that's something you want to have be a part of the book.
Right.
And
of course, I think it's just, and it's not for the sake of trying to give the character something, you know, either like a flaw or wrong. I think it, like, I'm making sure things that with my characters, they make sense. Like, it's something that makes sense, and I'm not looking deliberately for a reaction. I just think it makes sense for this character to have this kind of trauma in their past or even present, you know, kind of thing, afflict them, you know, kind of thing. And I want to be careful with that. I don't want it to be something like I put in just for the sake of putting it in, you know, kind of thing.
Right. Shock value.
Yeah.
Putting stuff like that in for shock value, it has its market, but not always what people are looking for.
Yeah. And like I said, it's going to be things that I've had affected in my life. So it's something that I feel like it's something I've always wanted to get off my chest. And I don't know, maybe I not sure if I actually talked to you about that or not. I know I talked to Tori a bit about it. But I'm not sure if I brought it up to you or not, but you know,
you can always feel free to bring up anything you want to me. Open book. What subgenre of fantasy are you planning for your book to be in? Like urban?
I'm trying epic. I want it
epic. Okay.
I want epic. And I love seeing people talk about it as subjects recently. You know,
there's been a lot of epic fantasy is dying discussion going around.
And
book
I worry about it.
That you're doing that.
It's a gamble. It's a gamble, especially for my first.
Everything's a gamble when it comes to
my first debut thing to be epic, because if the first one bombs, are people going to stick around for the next, you know, 5 or 6? But it's for me, you know, I write for myself, and if I can get it out, I'd be happy. If, you know, one person got in contact with me, you know, it's like, wow, this is, you know, great. Okay, win. And I have a couple of other side things I'm also working on. I am working on a sci-fi thing, kind of off into the same world as the one that I'm currently writing in, just obviously in a different type of category kind of thing. But so I have some backups, but yeah, it's a gamble writing that as your debut. I should have definitely wrote a novella, but I'm too knee deep into it now.
one of my favorite things from, like, you know, older American literature is the, like, you know, the Ray Bradbury, the Stephen King, Harlan Ellison. They were like masters of short stories. They wrote books as well, but like they would write a short story a week or something like that, and just kind of hone their craft that way. And there is something to be said for that. But I don't think there's anything wrong with starting with an epic fantasy. It's just making sure that the page count is justified, the story length is justified. Like, you know, don't turn into a Wheel of Time, which
Right.
don't get me
Oh
wrong.
no, no,
I love Wheel of Time.
no, it won't be 14. I'm looking at maybe 5, 6, you know, kind of thing, depending.
You know, that's where Wheel of Time started, right? It's supposed to be 5 books. It was supposed to be 5 books, and then it turned into 14.
But I don't want to, yeah, but I don't want to be like 80 still writing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm just teasing, but that was the point I was making. Is like, you know, get your story, and then tell your story in the length that you need it to be in. No more, no less. Trim fat. All that sort of stuff is very good for. Because I personally don't think, and I talk to Tori about this a lot. I don't think enough authors are trimming fat these days, especially within the indie community. We get some amazing books, but we get just huge, big books that, like, I'm like, that could have shaved a little bit off here.
When it comes to spending money on my book, that's going to be my number one thing is editor. Yeah. Then probably cover art. I have a couple.
And cover art.
Yeah, I have a couple cover artists in mind that I would really love to have, and I'm willing to maybe chuck out some money for it. But the editor for me is like
who.
I kind of like. All right, so I like Andrew Malesky.
Okay.
He does a lot of you might like him, Andrew. He does a lot of, I've seen his portfolio. He does a lot of like Asian artwork, and it's just like this weird like brush kind of stroke. It kind of has like a Ghost of Tsushima kind of feel to it.
What's his name?
I like immediately. Andrew Malesky, Maleski.
Well, there's a football player by the name of Andrew Malesky.
I might have spelled it wrong.
Maybe it's the same guy. This is some cool art.
Yeah, I like it. It's really cool, and I think you can pull off what I want for.
It's like some Dark Souls. Oh yeah, he did Fletcher's.
He did a couple Fletcher's. He did her recently. Yeah. I like his work. I would love who is it? Anna Sparks, but he's doing like all of the Malazan books for Broken Binding. So I don't know if he's just going to be too pricey for me at this point, because he's going to be so. But I liked him before he started like getting big. I forget the name of this one, but he did Anna. Is it Anna Sparks?
Anna Sparks Smith.
Yeah. He did her artwork too. This is a different artist, and I like his art too. Kind of matches a little bit, like. But yeah. Thank you, Tori. But I love his artwork too. But we'll see.
Very cool. Malesky would be cool.
Yeah, I think Malesky fits my vibe.
This art is stunning. His sci-fi stuff looks cool too. Post-apocalyptic. We've got some sci-fi. We got fantasy. We got Asian.
Yeah,
I know people can't see what I'm looking at, but it's cool.
Well, look him up, guys. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, Andrew Malesky.
Although don't book him until I get my book him until I get my prints.
Yeah, don't make him busy. I need him. Well, that's really cool. So we are 5 months into the year now. What's your favorite read of the year so far?
I would probably say I really loved Gavriel Kay.
Okay, so GG.
Song for Arbonne really hit in a different vibe than a lot of the books I've read this year.
So I've already read the prologue of Song for Arbonne, and I really liked that.
I'm just shocked with myself that I've never read him earlier, because he is my first passion and love was historical fiction. I studied history. archaeology and all that, and I never understood why I never really picked up a Guy Gavriel Kay book, because he's fantasy, because it's made up, but you could clearly pull out from what his inspirations were in the real world, kind of thing. So
very cool. I like the kind of it's a slower paced. It feels like a little bit more classical. It's got very beautiful prose and well realized characters, and all of that is like I was getting straight from the prologue.
Yeah, I was worried he was going to be difficult for me, but I was able to totally get immersed and understand what I was reading and all that. So I was sometimes when prose is a little too flowery, I get lost a little bit and I have to like reread. I'm like, what did I just read?
I think that's a common problem. I mean, I know people who love War of Light and Shadow by Janie Wirtz who will have to reread passages just because the prose is so incredibly well crafted and elevated.
But she warns people ahead of time. She says you have to take your time. So that I appreciate. I'm actually, I'm probably going to read The War of Light and Shadow in 2025. I'm going to try to make it a thing. I'm going to read the Cycle of Fire and To Ride Hell's Chasm this year. Yep. I have the same thing. Yep. I'm going to read that this year. And then I'll read To Ride Hell's Chasm. And then I'll dig into her War of Light and Shadow for 2025.
I need to finish To Ride Hell's Chasm. I'm about 30% into it.
I gotta read everything, Andrew. I gotta I'm on the standalones for Joe Abercrombie. So Best Served Cold is next.
Did you start with Best Served Cold, or did you start with like the Heroes and Red Country?
No, I haven't read any of the standalones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Best Served Cold is next. I hear great things of the last trilogy, the recent trilogy that he wrote. But I want to read the standalones first.
Not the biggest Abercrombie fan. That's pretty well known. So I'm not.
Okay,
I
will say. Anybody. No, I'll see. I can understand that, because I was actually really disappointed with The Last Argument of Kings.
Yeah, I like
the first two books.
Me too.
The last book, I was like, meh. It was like it kind of like okay,
everything is awful all of the time.
I didn't hate it, but I was just like, oh, okay, that's the end.
Yeah. Oh, that's what we're doing. Okay, sure, cool. But yeah, so we've got Cosmere #5 coming out here soon. Now I know we were just talking backstage that you weren't able to get to Dragonsail. Have you been to Dragonsail before, or was this going to be your first one?
This would be my first. And to be honest, I was going to go because of the community.
Really?
To give you context, the only Brandon Sanderson I've read so far is the last books of The Wheel of Time, and I read the first book in Mistborn book, and I wasn't really impressed. I liked it. I liked it. I want everybody to know. Here comes all the unsubs, but I liked it. But
it won't be coming from my community. I don't think.
I was just like, I guess I didn't understand the hype, and I understand he is like sort of like an intro fantasy kind of guy, and I think maybe if you read a lot of fantasy prior to Brandon, there it is.
Yeah. Don't worry. Tori's coming to visit in a little while. I'll steal her phone and I'll resubscribe. Okay.
Yeah, but Tori didn't like live ship traders, so we're even, Tori.
That's fair. No, I actually kind of agree with Sanderson. I like Sanderson, but I also feel like the more I start to read Sanderson currently, the less he hits with me. Like I don't want to say outgrown. He just does. I don't vibe with his stories as much as I used to. And that makes me really sad because I mean I've got just a thing of Sanderson right up top. Like I've got Ars Arcanum, I've got all the hardcovers of Stormlight. I really like Stormlight.
My spouse loves Stormlight.
Stormlight's actually fairly good. I will say that it is. I can see why you kind of bounced off of Mistborn. It's more of like a coming of age story and stuff like that. There's a lot more darkness that's explored within.
And I'm not done with him. I'm absolutely not done with him. I have Trust of the Emerald Sea. I as a person, I think he's an amazing person for our community, and I have nothing but utmost respect. I follow him on his Twitter and everything else, and so I mean, I appreciate everything he's done to get people to read and dig into this genre, because he is somebody who, you know, pulls in a lot of outside people of fantasy and science fiction and brings them in, and for that I'm always like about Sanderson, and that to me is, I'm not going to give up. I think my next book for him is going to be Warbreaker. I'm going to just try one of his standalones and see how well that does for me.
I want that leather bound just because it's purple. Of Warbreaker.
Warbreaker. Oh,
yeah, it's like a purple and black.
Yeah, it's I don't. I if I like it, I'll consider investing in some of his leather bounds, but and maybe I had all this hype build up, and this happens a lot to me when a book gets hyped. It's why I don't watch a lot of book reviews of my fellow booktubers, because I get too influenced really easy. So I usually only watch a review video of a book I've already read. But I think there was just such a heavy influence and hype for Brandon Sanderson that when I read it, I don't know, maybe I was expecting more because of the hype, and then it just set the expectation. Yeah.
Here's a really good recommendation. Emperor's Soul.
That's also on my list for Brandon. Yeah.
It's like 100 pages.
Oh, okay.
It's a novella. It's included within Ars Arcanum, or not Ars Arcanum, Arcanum Unbound. What is Ars Arcanum? That is something completely different. Anyway, I don't know.
Sounds familiar, but I don't know.
I don't know where that came from. But no, that is a good recommendation.
No, that's good. That's good to know. Usually I'm right on par with her. Yes, I am caught up on Bloodsworn. I love it. I can't wait for the third book. And then that is another series I want to aim for in 2025 is the Faith in the Fallen. So I did Gwen backwards kind of thing. So
that's
I'm reading his new series now, and
you can kind of notice it right here.
Yeah. Yes. Where's mine? Somewhere.
I liked the first book of Bloodsworn, but I wasn't super involved with all of the characters. Like I wasn't invested in their struggle. So I'm hoping to get pulled in a little bit more in book 2.
Okay. So you read the first book?
I have read the first book, and I've read all 7 of the other books.
Okay. So yeah, I'm aiming to hopefully hit the Faith in the Fallen in 2025, but I'm all caught up, so I'm happy that there's a series out there that I am caught up on.
Here's something we can talk about, because I get nice and salty about this. Where do you feel about the current pricing and the kind of forced scarcity of special editions? The only reason I bring that up is Faithful in the Fallen has 2, and one was super expensive, and the other one I wasn't allowed to buy.
Okay, so yeah, I think for me, the series for me on that is the Sun Eater series. I totally missed out on all the hardcover books, and they're like
Empire of Silence is back in print.
What's that?
Empire of Silence is back in print.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. The hardcover is in print.
Because what? They're picked up by Dahl now, right?
No, Bane
Yeah, Bane is the new
Bane
one.
picked it up, but Dahl reprinted it.
Oh, okay.
I think on Goodreads it's had like 12,000 ratings now.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
They saw money to be made,
yeah,
and so they decided to finally reprint it. So
yeah,
you can order a hardcover.
Yeah, but yeah, and it's I think I have one of the I think I have the Kickstarter for it coming.
Oh, you got the Diamond Edition?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, but that, like you said, I can get bitter about that. It's like, because I think you're a little bit like me, where we like we like having, we like reading, of course, but we also like having the fancy display bookshelves on the thing. And that series, I missed out, of course. I wasn't part of the subscription for at least Broken Binding.
You couldn't get it anyway. That's the one you weren't allowed to get.
Yeah.
Because we live in the US, they would not sell it to us.
Oh, they wouldn't? Okay, yeah.
No. And now if you buy it secondhand, people are scalping them for $1,000 for the full set.
Not worth
and it's not worth it because it's not like a full done special edition hardcover. It's just a standard what they call a royal hardback with sprayed edges. That's all it is, and it's signed.
Yeah, and quite honestly, I'm happy with the large paperback. I think those large paperbacks are perfect size. They're the floppy kind, so they stay open. So
this is one of the oldest books I have in my collection now. I've had this on my shelf for 5 years. It was one of the first series that I kind of jumped into BookTube with.
Oh wow, okay, yeah,
I love this book.
It's a staple, though. I think like I feel like I'm not a booktuber until I have The Faithful and the Fallen on my bookshelf somewhere.
You don't have to have read it. You just have to have it there.
Have it on the shelf. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's all of us. I think we all say we need to read our bookshelves because we collect faster than we read.
Oh man, so I did really well in the first 3 months of the year where I was just like, okay, I've got all these series that I don't own physical books for, but I have the need to collect. So I'm going to buy those books up. And then that way I'm not going to be adding new books to my shelf. That didn't last super long.
I'm running out of room. I have 4 bookshelves here. I have a bookshelf off camera this way, which is my primarily my mass markets, like a lot of the D&D books and Dragonlance and all those, and that's over there. Then I have like my Smarty books that and that's like in the main living room, all my like classic literature and historical fiction books I have there. I do have some more here, but it's just I don't know. I don't know what to unhaul. I'm too much of a.
Just do first chapter challenges and then just flick them out of your collection.
I'm too much of a hoarder.
Well, so I've got like a forced limitation. So I've got. So I've got those.
Wow.
And then I've got these, and then I've got one over there behind my old chair. And that's all the space I have for books in this entire house.
Oh, wow.
And so basically it gets to the point where like if I want my shelves to even look remotely not like I'm a hoarder, I have to constantly unhaul, which is kind of where my fast DNF comes from. It's just like, okay.
Well, that makes it easy for you then.
Yeah. So it's just like, okay, this first 3 or 4 chapters aren't really doing it for me. It could be theme, it could be prose, could be pacing, could be characterization. Flick it out. That's 3 books. And it opens up a chunk that big on my shelf. Or if I can consolidate, because my Journai series used to take up almost a full shelf, I've now got it nice and condensed here into these 3 omnibuses.
Oh, yes. There you go. That's nice.
These were hard to get a hold of.
Oh, I bet.
Because these are from 2000.
Oh, those look great. Yeah, now see, I haven't read David Gemmell yet, but maybe if I can find those myself, that'd be great. I never find good deals when I go to.
I didn't say I found good deals. I just said I had them.
You have them. Okay. I know people are so lucky when they go to like a half price book, and I love shopping our local bookshops up here in Seattle, and I never find anything good.
It's funny. My local half price books has 3 copies of the Subterranean Press 2008 edition of Before They're Hanged. They're each one of them is $400. So I don't have one, but they have 3 of them.
No, I do take that back. I think my best served cold. This I got at half price books. This is in good condition.
Yeah, that's in solid shape.
and it's solid shape. It's a nice hardcover, and yeah, I was like, yeah, I'll definitely grab that.
Do you ever consider Mylar wrapping your books?
What?
Mylar wrapping.
No, I never heard of it.
You've never heard of it?
I never heard of it.
So Mylar wrapping is here. I've actually got Mylars right over here. If I can untangle my legs from the blanket. So like this is like a box of Mylar wraps, and then basically you just kind of take your book and you wrap it in kind of a plastic.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, okay, yeah. I guess I never heard that phrase before. Okay,
Yeah. So it's Mylar wrapping, but I do that to pretty much all of my hardcovers. Although I do need to do it to my Wheel of Time, and a few other books because I haven't done it recently. I've actually got this whole box of Mylar wraps and I just haven't used them.
Okay.
But they're just a piece of plastic with 2 flaps, and you get everything sized in there. You get it folded. I've got a whole video on how to do it. Yeah, Sarah Beth, protect the books. I love Mylar wrapping my books. It's an obsession of mine. I've probably got close to 120 Mylar wrapped books or something like that in my house. Maybe not that bad.
I might have to consider that then for sure. Yeah.
Oh, it's just a good time to like listen to an audiobook while you just do something repetitively, which I love doing.
Do you when you read especially a hardcover, do you take off a cover? Do you just
yeah, no, I don't read with the cover on there. Yeah,
I usually take the slip cover off of books I read. Yeah, for sure.
I just recently had to, because when I got my Knife of Dreams on release day, it was Christmas, and I remember getting too excited and grabbing the wrapping paper, and I ripped the dust jacket like day one. So I had Scotch tape all over my Knife of Dreams I had for years. And I was at my local used bookstore, and they had a copy of Knife of Dreams with a really nice dust jacket. So I brought it home with me and just did a dust jacket swap and then listed it on my Pango books.
Nice. Yeah. Heidi. Yeah. Powell's is flipping fantastic. I could be lost in there for a whole day. Easy.
Isn't it as big as like half
Go back tomorrow. Go back tomorrow and do it all over again. I mean, you can find some great books in Powell's too, because they do new and old. So you can find a lot of the, those old 90s, fantasy books and sci-fi books in Powell's. Of course, people grab them as they come, but
do they do used? Because I know what Powell's is, because obviously it's nationally recognized.
Yeah.
At least I think it is.
They do used and new, so you can get both.
So it's like a second in Charles.
Yeah, I would say so. Pretty close, and it's like a whole block. It's a maze. I mean, they have to color code the sections, and it's like 3 stories. I want to say, it's just huge. It's just amazing place to go.
Well, that sounds like somewhere I want to be buried. I wonder if they'll let me buy a plot.
Deep in the catacombs of the library.
Yeah. No, they've got like a wall that's like plexiglass with like author signings, right?
Yeah, they have a whole area for everything. I haven't been there for an author signing, but yeah.
No, I mean like the authors signed the wall, like Robert Jordan.
Oh, the author signed the wall. Yeah. Sorry, yeah, the whole thing is just, it's worth it.
Nice.
I know. I was like,
I've never been.
When I was debating when I was living in Florida, and I was like, I want to move to the Northwest. When I was tired of the heat and all that, and I was debating Portland, and Powell's was like one of the pluses on the list. It was like Powell's. I mean, right. It's only like a 3-4 hour drive, maybe at the worst.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. And we have family that lives in Portland, so it's easy to kind of go down there for reasons, So, but no, I needed somewhere a little cooler.
I mean, I live in Indiana, so I get everybody's weather. It gets ungodly hot. It gets cold. It gets rainy,
Yep.
it gets stormy, it gets it all.
I lived in Lafayette, Indiana for
Okay. I'm
4
sorry.
years. I'm sorry too. It was my high school years, so that's the worst part of it.
There's not a whole lot in Lafayette, Indiana.
No, there's not. No. I think I keep in touch with like 5 people from Indiana.
I'm assuming I'm one of them.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about high school.
Okay.
So but everyone's always asking me, are you coming to the and it's like everybody there still lives there and has families, and I'm like, oh God, I don't know how you guys do it. I couldn't wait to move.
I live
I couldn't wait to graduate and move. But
yeah, you could have moved to a different part of Indiana.
I could have moved to Indianapolis. That was probably going to be my only option if I stayed in Indiana. But
now I'm assuming your family left Indiana as well.
Yeah. My parents actually left before I did.
Wow. How does that work?
What's that?
How does that work if you were there for high school?
Well, I was still living there for like a year after college or a year after high school, but I was living on my own at the time. So
okay.
Yeah, and then they moved. My late sister lived in Indiana. So I still have a niece that lives in Indiana, but she and her husband live in Indianapolis. So yeah, that's another reason to go to Gen Con too, is of course to see my niece. So I do have family that still lives there, but yeah, man, I couldn't wait to get out. I was like, this place is rough.
I mean, to be fair, I'm so introverted these days. I barely leave my house, so the city I live in doesn't really matter all that much.
No, when you think about it, it really doesn't, and it's just like, because we are considering moving north of where we are now, Seattle. I mean, cost of living is just atrocious.
Expensive, yeah.
Problem is my spouse doesn't have a work at home job. They teach. So yeah, that's kind of the only reason. We have to kind of stay at least within like the link station so they can get on the link and get to work, kind of thing. So
okay. Well, I mean, it is.
But I'm happy. I'm still happy I live here. I love the Northwest.
If you're I've seen pictures of Seattle.
If you're a hiker, the Pacific Northwest is great. Yeah.
I used to be a hiker. I was in the Boy Scouts, got my Eagle and all that sort of stuff, which requires just a lot of hiking.
Yeah, I know. I was an Eagle Scout too.
Yeah. Well, technically we are, but not is. If you ask anybody, although it was funny, not that anybody cares about the Boy Scouts in this chat, but I was told that being an Eagle would be so great on my job applications. No one's asked me once. No one's been like,
it never came up again.
Yeah, they're like, it's going to open so many doors for you. Not a single door has been opened. No one's even acknowledged the fact that it's there.
Yeah. But hey, I know how to make a slip knot, right?
Yeah, right. I can do a slip knot.
24 types of knots. So
yeah, I know how to set up a tent. I can cook on a campfire. I can do fire by friction. Cool stuff.
Yep. Absolutely. And I will say I will say one thing that I think the Boy Scouts really did for me is my love for swimming and all that, and probably got me into doing marine archaeology and all that. Maybe it had an impact on my decision to do that or not. I don't know, but it's there.
Hey, it's very cool though.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. So what are you excited to read that's coming up?
Well, sometime this year, I went to read, we were talking about Asian fantasy and all that. I went to read the Dandelion Dynasty.
Okay.
I have a hardcover set on my shelf that makes my eye twitch because they're all like mismatch types.
Right now, Broken Binding has them for pre-order for only $200.
I have them. The Midnight Collection or whatever they call it. Yeah, I have those coming.
I don't.
Oh, you don't?
Not for $200. No,
I can't stand my current collection. It's like my eye like like involuntarily twitches because it's so ugly. So I I've heard some amazing things, and I want to get to the Dandelion Dynasty. Yeah, I trying to think what else I want to get to this year. I want to read more of the Red Rising series.
Yeah.
I still only read the first 3, so I'm up to Morningstar. So next is Iron Gold. So I want to continue that series. You know, I mean, I can go on, of course. Yeah, Sun Eater. I'm on book 3, Demon in White.
A Demon in White is so good.
Yeah. And Malazan, I'm on Memories of Ice. So
nice. I keep meaning to come back to Malazan and Dandelion Dynasty because I was very middling on the first book. I liked it, but I didn't love it. And then Malazan, I finished Memories of Ice, and that was like a year and a half ago, and I never came back. But I think I'm going to buy the Broken Binding Malazan editions.
Same.
And then from
that's another hodgepodge series on my shelf, which
I used to have the paperbacks, but they didn't cut the paperbacks the same height, which drove me nuts. And then I used to have
halfway through they changed the artist too, right? Like
yeah.
I feel like my Dusted Dreams, I think, is another type of formatted book, and then I have one hardback, and it's the Gardens of the Moon. So it's just all whacked, and it's a stupid reason, I know, but it just, I don't know, it irritates me.
Collector brain is a thing.
I need things to just match.
If I can move enough on my Pango books, I might shell out for the Midnight Edition. But right now, I don't have it.
I am taking a gamble, of course, because what if I hate Dandelion Dynasty? I think it's going to be something I like. I've read enough of the premise, and it's books that I tend to gravitate to anyway. So I think I'm going to like it.
Fair enough. I do.
Although then. But then I mean, look at Heidi. I mean, she had a DNF Grace of Kings and Red Rising, but
Red Rising I can understand. Grace of Kings I can understand. Demon in White I don't understand. That one you're gonna get some pushback on. But I mean, hey, like, I don't know. Not everything's for everybody, and this entire hobby is subjective and it's all for fun, but man, I love Demon in White. I love it so much. Oh, yes. Paper Menagerie. If you haven't read, even if you,
I have it on my shelf. Yeah, I have Paper Menagerie on my shelf, and I was thinking of reading that before Dandelion, but
I highly recommend the short story Paper Menagerie within the Paper Menagerie collection. Okay. It's like 9 pages long, and it made me cry. In 9 pages. Wow. It is. I will say that Ken Liu can write. He can just bring so much emotion so incredibly quickly with such, I don't want to say little effort, but like he just flipped every single switch, and I was just crying by the end of that short story. And it like affects different people who haven't been through the same things that I have. And they're like, oh, yeah, I found it super moving. And it hits at the core of something that I think he's just tapped into something magical in that short story. It's so good. I haven't even read the whole collection, just the short story.
And that's what it is. It's a collection, right? And just perfect. Yeah, I might start with that. Hey, Mike Molman. I don't know why I started doing that. Yeah, I don't know. Dandelion Dynasty is one I want to get to. It's just such a big book. Like they're all. Well, yeah. I mean, Wall of Storms is huge. Yeah.
I've got this stack of 700+ page books stacked up here for a video I'm trying to record tomorrow. Mainly because I recorded a video in January, and
What is
then I
that?
never
Epic?
got to
Epic
it.
fantasy? Would you consider it all epic,
Say
or are
what?
they just what your videos just like on like what thick books?
Just
700
big chunkers that I need to get to in my
get to?
collection is basically what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Those big, thick old books that
You know what? I think when I started reading fantasy, that's what I always imagined fantasy to be,
Mhm.
is all thick chunky books, something to get really immersed in, very slow burn. I think being a child of like the late 80s and 90s, it's not to age myself, but it's just a lot of books were just very very slow burn, very take your time kind of reads. I feel like I could there's books that are all action and all that, but I feel like a majority of them are like that, just getting immersed in a world. And I just miss that sometimes. And I
Mhm.
know easily nowadays it's like I'm kind of getting into the habit of reading books that are all like pace, pace. But once in a while I miss those. I miss those slow burns. So I'm hoping like where it says War of Light and Shadow in 2025 will hit really well with me, because it's going to be one of those series that I just never got to when I was younger, and maybe it's for
I
the
didn't
best.
even hear about it until a couple years ago.
It's funny. I think it's, and I always blame the fact that it's an alphabet issue with me, because
Mhm.
every time I shop in a bookstore, I shop alphabetically.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I'm just going down the alphabet because I can add Brent Weeks to him. I never read Brent Weeks yet, or I mean, I've read Margaret Weiss. I mean, that would probably be the exception. But yeah, I just you get down to the W's, and I just never got to some of those well-known authors. So because I'm an alphabetical shopper.
See, the way I shop is I shop alphabetically, but I don't leave that aisle until I've eyed every single book that is in that aisle.
Yeah, exactly, Daniel. It's like poor Rogers, and I'll get to him. I'll get to him when I'm 90.
You get to the last one at the end of the road. That's hilarious. Well, I think that is about time here. Like I said at the beginning of the live stream, please check the description box down below and subscribe to Chris's channel. He's got amazing lighting. He's an amazing individual. He's a great friend, good book recommendations, good content, and he's writing a book. And so you should go and subscribe if I haven't given you enough reasons to already. Chris, thank you for doing this. I know we have been just
So long.
it's been 2 months of us just going back, and it went on so long that I didn't want to schedule somebody in front of you, that the show went on hiatus.
No, did I put your show on hiatus?
No, not
No.
intentionally. No, it was just kind of it was a nice hiatus.
No, I would have been totally fine. I mean, I've talked with a couple of booktubers that said, oh, I want to have you on the show, but it's like scheduling and all that, and they've had other people on their show by then. It's just like we'll get on there, but no, I'm glad we got to make this work, and I'm glad to have this. I mean, we've talked, of course, before, but I don't think like this long, like on a
no, we've never gone this long one-on-one. It's been fantastic. And I would 100% do this again.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I just want to thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to hang out with me and hang out with people in the comments. And yeah, that's really all I got for you today, guys. I hope you are doing well. I hope you're having amazing reads. I hope life is treating you well. And I want you all to stay magical. And subscribe to Christopher Navo.
And Andrew, if you're watching me.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad if you subscribe to me as well. But bye, guys.
Bye, guys.